are live with the top 8 of the Oasis Games NPQ?
Whatever alphabet they're using this time.
Whatever letters of the alphabet. We are back. We have Gruul versus Boros. We've already seen the Gruul that Carter rallied to make top 8 in 8th place.
Yeah, barely getting that cutoff. Tiebreakers are definitely strong in MC PTQs and whatnot.
We have Robert. We haven't seen Robert yet. Robert is on Boros. He is playing 6 plains and 6 mountains, so like true Boros here. 2 Temple of Triumph. There's a lot of cards here that I have never seen before. It is Fervent Champion and Embercleave, so 2 Embercleave decks playing against each other. It's a pretty classic matchup, but typically in these style of decks, that there is a chance of glory, man. That could swing this matchup.
Yeah, it is the Boros Knight deck is actually what it is. I haven't seen many people play it, but it did do really strong here. It basically just has really cheap knights, really fast aggro, and all it does is keep pushing and pushing and pushing forward in order to get to the end game right away.
Well, Robert will probably choose to be on the play as he is the 1 seed, and Robert is going to be on the left with Carter being on the right. So we're going to go down there and let these guys know that they can start here. Yeah, I think that in typically you would say that the big green deck is favored in this style of matchup.
Probably yes. But remember, we are seeing a very different take on what red is in Throne of Eldraine. While we lose a lot of burn spells, we get a lot of very fast, efficient, and pumpable creatures now. Okay. Which can rival those green decks if they go off fast enough.
Yeah, we have 4 Veterated Loxodon and 4 Inspiring Veteran, so certainly a lot of ways to make big creatures. What are the pumped creatures in this deck? You have
Weaselback Redcap that has 1 in red fire breathing. You have Veteran Loxodon, not really pumping, but it does put those counters on. And then you also have Rimrock Knights, that lets you do +2/+0 as an adventure for only 1 red.
Yep, and then it is a 3/1?
It is a 3/1. Can't block, but real powerful attacker.
Sure. Well, hopefully we'll get some awesome games here in this top 8. It's pretty exciting stuff. Shout out to Oasis for throwing a pretty awesome event, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Alright, and I think we are about to get started.
Yep, we have our opponents, I'm so used to playing. We have our players presenting their decks to each other, ready for that simple cut, and then we're going to get right into it. With the red deck, of course, going first, the Boros deck going first, I feel like they're a very strong contender for this first game. They have a lot of aggro ready to go. In an aggro v aggro matchup, going first has that such strong advantage.
Absolutely. One thing to note is that, being on the draw with something like Bone Crusher Giant or even something along the lines of Lovestruck Beast can be a little bit rough. One thing, though, is that this is going to be a tough one to get rid of a Lovestruck Beast or something like a Bone Crusher Giant once they hit the battlefield. Same thing is true of Questing Beast, so I expect the green deck is a slight favorite here. We have 6 removal spells main, but one of the problems is that it is running stuff like Crawl Harpooner over maybe a 3/3 in that 2 mana spot.
Exactly, which means the sideboard in this matchup is going to matter a lot. A lot of these cards that we're seeing in both their decks are just real bad in this kind of like, not real mirror match, but the aggro matchup just don't work.
Yeah.
Because remember, they were competing against other styles of control decks, and they need those in the main board, definitely. But in these matchups, they're really dead cards.
Well, let's see what happens here. We have our players drawing their opening hands. Once again, we have Carter on the right and Robert on the left. Looks like Plains, Mountain, and Spells for Robert. I think those were expensive spells, but it looks like he might be keeping.
Yeah, Carter looks like he's got a little shock. He got some mountains. He is Bone Crusher Giant, real powerful in the early game. Definitely going to help him at least hopefully come back a little bit.
Yeah, I think if you know what your opponent is playing, you're certainly considering keeping Shock plus Bone Crusher Giant in this matchup.
Oh, definitely. Especially when you know if you can just keep killing creature after creature, and you know since you're playing the Gruul matchup, you have a much bigger board. Once you're kind of there, it's real hard for them to come back from it.
It does look like what I thought, that Robert's hand was maybe a little bit too expensive, and he is going to pitch it back.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he did keep.
Coming with a strong, yep, there it is. It is the, oh man, it is that fun little knight. What is her name?
Well, she's going to go instantly meet her death with a shock.
Her name doesn't matter much anymore.
She's not forgotten. She's a knight.
Yeah.
All right, we have a turn 2 mountain, tapping those out. I am not familiar with this knight's deck enough to be able to
I want to
this
say
art.
its name is Fervent Champion.
The first one was white, so it wasn't Fervent Champion.
No, the first one was Venerable Knight.
Okay, so this one is...
most likely Fervent Champion.
So Fervent Champion's 1 red.
No, so it's not that one. It is... no, it's not Inspiring Veteran either. Worthy Knights, there it is.
Worthy Knight, there we go.
Worthy Knight, which is the 1/1 whites that lets you constantly make human tokens every time you cast a knight.
Well, Worthy Knight was not so worthy as it, got taken down by Giant. But another Worthy Knight comes down along with a Fervent Champion drawn off the top.
Yep, and getting in for that quick 1 damage.
All right, we have our third mountain here. This is going to probably just cast our 4/3.
Real strong blocker. Lots of things in this Boros deck can't actually deal with the Giant unless they 2 for 1.
That top deck of that Fervent Champion was pretty good for that second Worthy Knight.
Yes, definitely. It gives them a chance to continue pranking on board's presence, but also be able to have a way of just going in there fast.
Yeah, we have another knight coming down. This one is the 3-mana knight that looks at the top cards. I believe is it Acclaimed Contender? Is that the name of the card?
Yeah, it lets you look at the top 4 cards and either find an aura, an enchantment, or a knight. Sorry, or equipment.
There we go. Well, it is going to go find an Embercleave. This could be pretty bad for Carter, as Carter still doesn't have green mana.
Yeah, Embercleave can just honestly end the game now. It can get so much damage in right away, and because now it's out and about, it's real hard to deal with.
Yeah, this 3/1 that can't block is not going to get in the way of anything, and Carter is really on the back foot here. He obviously kept the hand with shock into Bone Crusher Giant, but it's not looking good for the Gruul player here.
The only chance he really has is using that shock very effectively to take out whatever thing that tries to get equipped with Embercleave.
Well, the shock has already been used.
Oh, then there is no way to deal with this Embercleave, really.
It's like we're having some thoughts here from... I think he's deciding whether or not he actually wants to attack with the 4/3 and then actually use the second one of his Rimrock Knights to try and get in.
Yep, he already got in, but yeah, this Embercleave could possibly just shut out this game.
Yeah, so what I expect to happen here is a full-on attack with everything, and then whatever is pumped by the Fervent Champion to get that Embercleave on it.
Correct. It's just going to make him essentially deal not it. I can't see
It's
lethal
8,
here.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, putting them to 6.
Yeah, and now you have Embercleave out, ready to go. You can put that on your Fervent Champion because it costs 0 to equip, and then you just have even more big stuff going on.
Yeah. Well, Tajik looks like it might have been the draw.
Which is strong. It will let him still cast Embercleave.
Well, he would need double red.
Ooh, he doesn't have that double red. He's just going for Tajik. Okay.
All right, so no Embercleave this turn. We get come in there with 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And the bigger thing is because Tajik's now...
Oh, no, 12 because of Tajik.
He has Mentor. He is teaching that champion how to be a fighter.
So this would put Carter down to 7, I believe.
Yep, and it also means Carter can't deal with this anymore. They can't take damage that isn't combat-based.
Yeah. Carter, going into the sideboard, does have Flame Sweeps for this matchup, though. Flame Sweep, Lava Coil, those are going to be pretty big, I think, in this matchup. And that Claim the Firstborn is also going to be a pretty big game in this matchup.
Exactly. Whoever has Embercleave, if you survive that swing, swinging back with your own, with your opponent's own Embercleave's champion.
Or if he has an Embercleave in play, he just gets to destroy his opponent's Embercleave. Oh, no, because it doesn't switch sides.
It does not switch sides, but you still get to, like, deal some serious damage.
But that might be better, because then you get to continue to have that Embercleave on whatever creature you're taking.
Correct. So there's very, very little hope. The only chance he has is if he drew his own Embercleave this turn and had a pump spell.
Well, we see a Lovestruck Beast coming down. I expect an attack with the 3-1 to maybe trade with the 1-1 token that's in play. It does not look like that would be... Oh, no, it's going in.
And most likely being blocked. No, it's not going to be blocked by the token.
We're going to take 3 here, go to 13, and then concede the game.
There was nothing he could do.
Yeah. Yep, so we've already talked a little bit about Carter's sideboard. When we look at Robert's sideboard, he's got 4 Cosmetonic Wave, 2 Disenchant, 1 more Tajik, 2 Icon of Ancestry, 2 Experimental Frenzies, 3 Chunder Pyrohelix, and 2 Unbreakable Formation. You know, I don't know that I like any of these cards in this matchup.
I really like the Unbreakable Formation, since it does give them the chance to get +1/+1 counters and be unblockable and vigilant.
Okay.
It really does
It
help.
could break serve.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes some sense. I was thinking the Icon of Ancestry could get you to the point where you're drawing enough cards to combat the large creatures. One of the things that we have to look at is Carter's deck is about to get a lot leaner. He's not going to have these Rimrock Knights. He might not even have the Edgewalling Keepers. And he's going to go in at least the Lava Coil and the Flame Sweeps. Possibly even something like Shifting Ceratops can come in a matchup like this. Just got 4 toughness is so much in the matchup.
It really, really is.
So depending on kind of how Carter thinks this matchup plays out could dictate how many cards he takes out and what exactly they are. But also Carter gets to be on the play now,
which helps his deck out a lot. This whole sideboarding plan will really give us insight into how well these players can play their decks against a similar matchup, because they need to make sure that no matter what, they have the right answers for that early game and late game pressure that both decks are actually able to produce.
Absolutely. Hopefully what we see here is, just some good old-fashioned Gruul beatdown. Gruul is, of course, this is the deck that I want to win the tournament. Let's be honest, CJ. This is my style of deck. And it's got extra card draw because of Edgewall Innkeeper. So,
which has been performing very well lately. It's given people a lot of new options when it comes to adventure-based decks.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like Carter is already done with his sideboarding, shuffling up. Robert kind of going back into the tank a little bit. Is there a way, you think, for Carter to win a game 3?
I think there is. The biggest thing they has to be careful of is re-sideboarding for game 3.
Sure.
You're giving away a lot of information in game 2, and especially if you get that strong win with the sweepers, your opponent's going to play very differently.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Carter, Robert has the option of having lots of haste,
Sure.
which means he can just hold back all of his small hasty dudes until the last minute when he comes in with Embercleave. And since Carter only has a lot of sorcery speed removals or 2 small removals, it could just spell end for him.
It's fair. Just to be fair, Flame Sweep is an instant.
It is, yes, but if you have Tajik out when you're going for the final sweep,
There you go. That doesn't do anything.
Yep, it's like, cool, kills Tajik.
Tajik is one that I think that Robert could consider boarding into 3 of in this matchup. Most of the ways that, your creatures are going to get killed, if not all of them, are damage-based. Domri's Ambush, that fights, it deals damage. But I don't think that's how that Tajik reads.
Tajik reads that your other creatures you control cannot be dealt non-combat damage.
Non-combat damage. Okay, so it would work against that. But, the Flame Sweeps, the Lava Coil, there's a lot of things to consider here that is going to come into play. It looks like players are shuffling up. They're getting ready to go. We'll go back down to the table as we look at Carter and his sweet, sweet yellow sleeves.
I love those. They are...
They match the playmat.
They really do. Really. So there's many ways this game can go now. It would be actually not too surprising to see it go to more of a control style, where they're both like carefully trading their cards around. If we ever get to that mid game, because that game never went towards the mid. It was all early game aggro matchup.
Yeah, not having the green mana really hurt Carter there. Welcome back, Patty B MTG in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. But yeah, I think that we got one player drawing their opening hand. Oh no, it's back to sideboarding. He's
very, very conflicted. It looks like about what he wants to put in. So when we go back to his deck, he has honestly options of like maybe Experimental Frenzy for that mid-game draw if it gets there. Probably not the best, but like Charger's Pyrohelix is one that he may be thinking about since it does have options of killing small creatures, but he didn't see any. He really only saw the Rakdos Knights.
Yeah. And I would assume that my opponent's boarding out Rakdos Knight in this matchup. I don't think that the Gruul player feels like they're the beatdown deck here. I think they think that they're very much the control deck. They got the cheap removal. They've got the larger creatures. They need to really have that control role going on for this one. It looks like Robert did finish sideboarding and is now shuffling up, ready to, hopefully make his way to the semifinals if he wins this game.
Exactly. He really wants to. He's doing well. He is the top player right now for this event, and he is his deck is really showing why it can be.
I think winning game 1 is very important for him too. I don't think this matchup is particularly well suited for his deck, and winning game 1 really gives him an advantage to be back on the play on game 3 if he ends up losing this game.
Yeah.
So no matter what happens now, Carter still has to win a game on the draw.
Exactly. Carter has to not only get through this one and hopefully sideboard correctly, but then also deal with the matchup that he just faced where he just didn't have answers kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, players are going to draw their opening hands now. Let's see what they get. The slow 7 from Robert. The pile 7 from... Ooh, we got a mountain. Looked like there was a quick keep.
Yeah, he is ready to go. He's just told his opponent, I'm coming in. I'm looking at some green mana. I even think I see Edgewall Innkeeper in there.
Yeah, it looks like we could lead on Innkeeper, Cast an Adventure.
Yeah, there is so much. Yeah.
Oh, and a Once Upon a Time.
Wow. Yeah, Carter has kind of the hand that he was really hoping to get last game.
Absolutely. Let's see what. Oh, looks like we have a mulligan. Wait, did he just look at the top cards? Oh, he was mulliganing. All right.
Yeah, he was just confirming his opponents that like I'm done. I'm keeping this hand. This hand is perfect for me.
Yeah, it was top 8 of another local tournament last week, and it was a 1K. I drew my opening hand in my semifinals, and I said, "Well, this is the best hand I've drawn all day." My opponent looks at their hand, and goes, "It's not the best hand I've drawn all day."
It's always a shame when your opponent has the much better opener start, but Robert does have ways of coming back. He doesn't really need mini cards in hand. We only saw him play a handful of cards last game. A lot of those were tokens from Generations and whatnot. He really doesn't need to have that many cards in order to keep going.
Yeah, the Worthy Knights really put in a lot of work there, putting those 1/1s into play, making that Embercleave super cheap the following turn.
Exactly. Worthy Knight, man, if that thing made Knights, it would be absolutely insanely the best card in the game. Because then just Knight synergy goes up through the roof. But still, making 1/1 tokens that synergize with your Embercleave, with your ability to just hit the face, beat down, or just leave back a few blockers. Attack with all your Knights, leave back some humans.
Interesting. It looks like he did board in the wave here, if I'm not mistaken, looking at this hand. Let me pull up just to double check what Cosmotonic Wave does.
If I want to say it makes things not be able to block. I have not seen that card in a minute. Carter is, of course, opening up with that Once Upon a Time.
So Cosmotonic Wave deals 1 damage to each creature opponents control. They can't block this turn.
Yeah, that's... So, since he knows Big Gruul wants to just block, that's his finisher now. So he knows that if my opponent's going to board in a bunch of hate, a bunch of big creatures, the only way I'm going to win is to make it the one turn I attack is the one turn that matters.
Well, we have a Questing Beast going to hand here for Carter. Carter's going to play a green land and immediately make a 1/1 token with his Left Struck Beast.
That's really useful. As we saw from all the hasters, having a small blocker right away is really useful.
You know, I really think that we should get people pictures of Belle from Beauty and the Beast for their Left Struck Beasts.
They really should. But remember, he's not partial to Belle. He also loves little cute rats and mice.
It appears that way from, you know, his rules text. All right, we did draw a second force there. I don't actually think that Carter had that before this turn started. So now he is going to be able to play that Questing Beast on time as well. He did keep in the Rimrock Knights, which means that this aggressive start this game might end quickly too.
Yeah, it could be good. He may have taken out a few of them maybe just for having a bit more consistency. But yeah, if he just has that 3/1 beatdown option, he's going to go places. But there's that Fervent Champion, and having that get a +1/+1 counter is real deadly against him. But Carter does have the shock. He could go in for an attack, and after he tries to put the counter on the Fervent Champion, just shocked it down.
Yeah, it does look like the Venerable Knight is in play here. This Boros Knights deck looks a little bit better than I was expecting going into this tournament.
It gets there. The biggest thing is that while none of its creatures do anything good is not the right word, but like don't do anything like absolutely kind of bonkers or insane, when you put a bunch of knights together, they really start popping off with each other.
Yeah, we do get an attack for 4 here. If Robert decides to block, he can put a 1/1 counter on that champion from the knight.
It does, but Carter is holding back that shock, probably waiting for him to do that.
Yeah.
Thinking carefully. Both of them are trying to figure out where to do the damage to. Robert's taking his definitely time. The biggest thing is that Venerable Knight is really, really valuable. Yeah, I could just kill off the Rimrock Knight, but that +1/+1 counter is kind of game-changing in Robert's deck, and it looks like he did choose indeed to keep it safe and not block with it.
Yeah, I expect that we see a Love Struck Beast come into play here. That 5/5 is going to be pretty tough to deal with, though.
Yeah, unless he gets some serious damage in, that thing is just going to be able to block for a long time, or swing in to deal massive damage, or just kill off.
Ooh, here we go.
Inspiring Veteran, giving his knights a second chance at redemption.
All right, well, I think that we're going to see a Questing Beast here. There was a land drop, at least 2 now missed for Robert, which means that, you know, this... Oh, nope. We're going to get a shock going.
Just get that out of the place right now.
Yeah, get that out of the way. See what else. We have a shock land, Questing Beast. Not sure what the other 2 cards are. It looks like one of them is green, though. It could be a forest, however. But, yep, we attack with the 5/5. I expect no blocks here.
Yeah, take the 5. Man, this game is basically the reverse from the last one.
Yep, really quick change here. Shockland comes to play tapped. We do have that Questing Beast in hand still, so there's really a lot of pressure here on Robert to make some kind of play. It does look like he has another knight here.
And still no land.
Yep, no land passing the turn back.
And Robert does know about Questing Beast. He did see it because Once Upon a Time is what pulled it. And
oh, that attack means that creature can no longer block.
And it won't get the counter.
Beast.
Yeah, and
easy taking 2 here for...
Well, it's 3 now because of Inspiring Veteran.
Sure,
but
3.
But still, you don't block this. There's no reason to. Even though it's just a human, you want to get every little bit of damage because you're about to just start swinging out for lethal soon.
All right, so we do take 3 here, go to 16. I expect an untap, and we have...
You just slam down Questing Beast, don't you?
Yeah, Questing Beast coming down. Nothing can block it, meaning that we're probably going to take 5, go to 5. Oh, no, not attacking with a human for some reason.
It's just a 1-1. It's easily blocked.
Sure, but if he blocks that and the 5/5 goes to 3, right?
Remember, though, he does know about Embercleave.
Sure.
Leaving up a 1-1 just to be a somewhat threat, maybe the right choice, but no, you're probably right. Probably was smart to swing out with everything.
Yeah. We're going to go to 1 here with these blocks. Looks like Forest and a second Questing Beast in hand for Carter.
Robert needs to find...
There is a land.
It helps.
Will that get him back into this game somehow?
I don't think it will. The biggest problem is that Questing Beast right now can only be blocked by Venerable Knight.
Yeah, that Venerable Knight attacking last turn was... It was an interesting decision that could come back to haunt Robert here.
It definitely can. Because that 1-1 counter could be put on the Fervent Champion, making it a 3-3, giving you a chance to be able to do some tricky stuff against that Questing Beast with some kind of shock. Or...
we have two... We have... now we have 2 creatures that can block Questing Beast pretty... And...
Oh, Embercleave, though.
Well, that will probably do it with that Questing Beast in play.
Yep, that's going to be able to just, whatever doesn't get blocked, or even whatever gets blocked, giving something double strike, especially on a Trampler with Death Touch. Just means 1 damage as rest of the face.
Alright, well, I expect this Embercleave just to come down, get on that Questing Beast. Oh, Love Struck Beast will work too.
Whatever he wants
to then Scoopsy poopsy him up. We are going to a game 3.
It could even be put on the human, and the human could have been like wielding the Sword of Destiny.
The human holding Embercleave is something that we all want to see. Let's be honest.
Yep, now we're going to game 3. And like I said, this is the pinnacle game. Robert has the advantage because he is going to be on the play. He sees a bunch of the cards, but I don't think we saw any of the sideboard from Carter get seen, right?
Yeah, it looks like Carter is deciding to bring back in some of the Crawl Harpooners and probably take out those Rimrock Knights.
Yeah, he's seeing that, well, yes, he did get to be aggressive. He knows it's just 1 swing away from losing.
Yeah. Yep, those Rimrock Knights coming out, those Crawl Harpooners going back in.
Gives him a lot more power for defending, which is what he now needs. He saw, when I'm on the draw, I'm no longer the aggressor in any way.
Looks like not sure what Robert was doing with his sideboard, but he also looks like he's changing a card or 2. All right, shuffling up here for Carter.
Robert looks like he's getting his hand ready to go.
I still think that the advantage is actually Carter's. His creatures are just so much bigger. We saw a turn there where, you know, like attacking the 5/5, you have to trade out most of your board for it. Questing Beast, the same thing. I just think that Carter's creatures are very big, and he still has the advantage. One thing that Carter is missing, though, is kind of those big Haymaker cards, like Planeswalker style cards, like whether it's, you know, whether it's Vivian or whether it's Sarkin or even Dragons, right? He doesn't even have that kind of stuff to kind of give you some card advantage. His card advantage has to come from Edgewell Innkeeper. And with Rimrock Knight coming out, you know, you just have less of that.
Yeah, he probably also took out... We didn't see a single one last game. It could be that he didn't draw it, or it could be he realizes, man, Edgewell Innkeeper is not the answer to this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas if the deck was more... mid-rangey Gruul, you might see something along the lines of Sarkin or something else.
Yeah, something similar to that will definitely be super useful for finishing it off. But Sally doesn't have any of that, so he just has to work with the big creatures and the fast ones.
Yeah, but you know, the removal still lines up pretty well in this. And will, yeah, we'll be back as soon as this game gets started. All right, our players have presented, shuffling up those decks, giving them's cuts, and Carter is gonna give his opponent's deck back here in just a second.
Yep, they're both obviously ready. They're both they both see each other's now exact play style really. Kind of go to the face, go wide or go big. So
Yep.
It's all about playing around that now.
Going to our sevens here, see what we can catch as a glimpse. Each of these hands. We got a forest. We got at least 2 mountains.
Flame Sweep. That's gonna really determine a lot about this game.
Looks like Flame Sweep, Bone Crusher Giant, Crawl Harpooner, and some number of lands on one side. On the other side,
We have the tournament grounds,
think-
lots of red.
I think there's just tournament grounds though.
Is that's it is 2 tournament grounds though. There is 2 of them I saw.
I think there's just one.
You're right. That's unbreakable formation that he put in there.
Looks like we're gonna mulligan that one.
Yeah, you can't. Yes, you have the mana you need because luckily Tournament Grounds does let you cast either red. Oh, and that's so nice. The fist bump from each other. But Tournament Grounds does let you cast all your knights because it does give you the mana fixing. But you need more than just one.
Yeah, that Flame Sweep gets a lot better once your opponent starts mulliganing.
Exactly. Even if you only 1-for-1 with it now, you know that you have a bit more advantage going against them. And especially being on the draw on this, going above 1 card, especially when you're the bigger, more hardier deck, having that extra card could mean the difference now.
All right. Well, let's hopefully get a sweet one for Robert here, and let's see what he comes up with this mulligan.
Yeah. Let's see if Carter can take it, or will Robert stay undefeated? Well, not undefeated, but stay the reigning champ.
All right. This one. 7 looks like it has at least a plains and another land, so 2-lander at the very least. I think I see an Embercleave in this hand.
I also see a Loxodon, which can get you really big power.
Looks like the Embercleave is the thing that he is deciding to put back. The Loxodon's pretty good against this Flame Sweep. Hopefully, for Robert, he can get ahead with that. All right, we have a turn 1 play. Carter is gonna draw. It looks like he drew Once Upon a Time. It's a pretty good draw.
Wow, that's an insanely strong opener. I feel like that may be a bad thing. He did put it in tapped, but I feel like you want to Once Upon a Time see if you can't find that noble beast in order to hopefully play it right away, at least for the adventure.
Sure. All right, we do have 2-drop. If the thing is,
veteran.
The thing is that now if you're not able to quickly get rid, I might shoot this off right now.
I mean, you can't. Sadly, Flame Sweep costs 3, not 2.
No. The Bone Crusher Giant.
Oh yeah, definitely get that guy off right now.
I mean, he doesn't know his opponent's hand, but at the same time, you got to be thinking, how can my opponent get out of this? And Veteran Loxodon is certainly one way to recover from this mulligan.
It definitely is. If Carter can't either find or doesn't deal with this properly, he'll be facing a board state that he can't sweep.
Yeah. All right, we put Lovestruck Beast into our hand here. I expect kind of just to pass the turn, though. I don't expect to cast the adventure side of this one.
Definitely not. You wait to see what your opponent does, and if
You could see a Crawl Harpooner though, rather than the nope. We are gonna leave up the Bone Crusher Giant.
they're both going to kind of do the same thing. Kill one of them.
What could happen is, even if the land comes into play and we see Veterated Loxodon starting, you could just kill the 2/2 in response to. I think that's just going to happen in response to this attack, though.
Yeah, it's strange to see Robert. He's just.
Does he have the land for the Flame Sweep?
He does.
All right, so he's just going to take this.
Ooh, that's a real strong Flame Sweep turn for Carter.
Yeah, really good patience from Carter. Oh no, what are we doing?
Wait, he doesn't have the. I don't think he has the mana.
Does he not have the mana for it?
Yeah, he doesn't have the mana.
Isn't that a Shockland?
No, that's a forest. Why?
Interesting
would you do that?
decision here.
Oh, he thought. No, I really don't know why. I'm really confused. He's saving it, I guess. He's waiting for the right time.
Yeah, we have 8 players in the top 8. I will announce them again shortly after this match. Right now we have Carter, Barton, and Robert. Is it? You think it's Eagen?
Eagen.
That's only 4 mana, it looks like.
And in response to the Loxodon, he's now going to Flame Sweep, clearing that board entirely. And Loxodon doesn't even get the 2 counters on him.
Yep, Loxodon will not get those counters off. So we'll just have a 4/4 in play for Robert.
Yeah. That definitely is going to bring him back into this game.
Ooh, the land there means that we can go ahead and put a 1/1 creature into play. Ooh.
He wants to draw cards. He is keep finding those answers. He is now the defender, and he has a very strong defense coming for him.
Yep. Edgewall Innkeeper does synergize so that this can attack, and we have a blocker for that Veterated Loxodon. Just for those at home that are asking, our top 8 is Jonathan Denney, Bruce Louis, David Saltsman, Jace Contos, Carter Barton, Christopher. Oh no, this is not the top 8.
That was from the last round.
This is from the last round. Silly me. We have Jonathan Denney, Bruce Louis, David Saltzman, Jace Contos. These are the same people I just read. Chris Lounsbury, Morgan Lunt, Robert Eagen, and Carter Barton.
Yeah, they've all done well. And, yep, Carter is now coming back.
Fully in the driver's seat at this point.
Yeah, he has the Love-Struck Beasts. He has the Edgewall Innkeeper. He has Draw.
He still has the Bone Crusher Giant sitting there.
He still has stuff. And look, we already looked at Robert. Robert doesn't really have a way of dealing with this anymore.
No, absolutely not. I think that, none of the cards really out of the board. Even Unbreakable Formation is going to help that much. The best chance is to really get a huge board going somehow and chance for glory. I think is Robert's main way to maybe come back in this game.
Yep. Although the Knight does help.
That's the good start. But it does look like Robert might only have 1 card left. The Questing Beast is another big draw.
It seems to be almost the end for Robert. But, as we saw from many other games, we don't know that yet. There's been so many games that seem one-sided, so close, that just end in an upset.
Absolutely. It does look like the Questing Beast might be the thing coming down here. And we'll probably see an attack for 14 here. It is a lethal attack. At least one thing will need to be blocked. I expect... Ooh, whoa.
I mean, you know your opponent has to block one of the 5/5s or 4/4s or just face doom. So swinging with a quick 1 more 1/1, that 1 extra damage is very relevant, especially when you have Shocks and Bone Crushers in your deck. It could spell lethal right now.
Probably not right now, but it could come up later. I do think that the 4/4 is going to go on the 4/4 for sure. And then we just eat that, go to 3, which is probably a good reason for Carter, because Carter does have that Crawl Harpooner in hand, presenting an extra lethal threat next turn.
And then, since the Loxodon's out, there's very little Robert can do now to block. He only has the 3/3 Knight, and if Carter keeps putting that pressure, just like you said with the Crawl Harpooner, it's real hard. He has to get enough creatures to block 2 more, plus face whatever new card Carter top decks or has in his hand.
Yeah, so we got 2 cards in hand for Robert here. We could see a concession coming pretty quick, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, and the hand is out. Carter moves on. And we'll be right back with Carter in the booth. All right, Carter. You were down a game.
Yes, sir.
And your opponent got a little unlucky. But we were going into the match. Even before game 3, I said I just think Carter's a huge favorite. His creatures are just too big.
Mm-hmm.
Your opponent's deck didn't have anything to deal with, even a 4/4. You just kind of played the matchup out how it should be played. I mean, you kept a great hand in game 1, got a little unlucky not getting your green mana. But what did you think?
That matchup, I definitely think it's Gruul favored. However, if they get up and under you before you're able to, get out your Lovestruck Beast, before you're able to get out your Questing Beast, then I think you definitely are on the back foot. And if you're playing from that, you definitely, I think, are probably going to lose. That third game, though, see the hand, and it is a Flame Sweep and 3 lands to cast it, as well as, that Stomp, so I can get rid of any Lords that he may have. It was almost a snap keep versus that matchup, because if I'm able to deal with the big threats in that mid game, and deal with those before his field is able to kind of pump itself, then the matchup's pretty winnable.
So talk to me about the play with the Bone Crusher Giant, because you elected to kill the Lord after taking some damage the turn before to Flame Sweep later. Talk to me about kind of your reasoning there.
So, the way I saw it, he had mulliganed down to 6. And I was already up 2 cards off the play. And if I'm able to almost psych him out and give him a little bit of a false hope of not having that removal spell for some of his creatures, he's probably more willing to roll out some more.
To commit to the board, sure.
And if he commits to the board, and he gets those cards out of his hand, and I'm able to Flame Sweep his board, I mean, we saw it there. I mean, that was
awesome.
It was a win.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that the matchup definitely favored you. You were able to take advantage. Coming in as the 8 seed, you're at a disadvantage in a lot of these matchups.
Almost definitely.
Especially considering how your deck plays out. Do you know what you're playing against next round?
Oh, gosh. I don't think I know what I'm playing against next round. I know some of the decks around. I know that there is a Temur Reclamation list running around. There's a Cavalier list running around. Cavalier is a very tough matchup for me.
There's definitely more than 50% of the decks are not Oko. So, definitely interesting to see for you as somebody who has probably a really good Oko matchup.
Yeah.
Kind of the diversity of this top 8. Well, good luck in the rest of the top 8. Thanks for jumping in the booth.
Yeah.
And hopefully we see you in here again.
We'll see. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Our semifinals are about to begin. And I believe we have the same Jeskai Fires deck that we've seen twice already. I believe that's Chris's deck.
Yep.
Versus a sweet one from Jonathan Denney. It's a Sultai version of Flash. This one has 4 Sinister Sabotage, 4 Brazen Bar, 4 Quench? Is it Quench? 4 Oko. So this one has Oko, Frilled Mystic, Wildborn Preserver, and Noxious Grasp. During the lock in the sideboard, stuff like that. These players are shuffling up. What are we thinking here? We got.
I mean, we have a deck that plays on your turn versus a deck that can't play on your turn. So it's going to be an interesting take on it. The Sultai Flash having, I think, a bit bigger of an advantage, because since the Sultai Flash is able to play whenever it really wants to, and the Fires deck can only do things on its own turn, having it interact with yourself with one of your only 2 spells means that it's real easy for the Sultai Flash just to kind of run over.
Absolutely. I do believe that we have Jonathan on the left with Chris on the right, so we will switch over there now, as one has already presented their deck.
Yep. It's going to be an interesting take. I mean, the Fires deck, as we saw, can just honestly combo off and take a game. But with the Flash deck having the counters and having its options of bouncing, it can just really halt the entire progress of Fires.
Yeah, this deck has 12 main deck counter spells in the form of 4 Sinister Sabotage, 4 Quelch, and 4 Frilled Mystic. This deck also has 4 Nightpack Ambusher to really apply price and pressure. Noxious Grasp doesn't take out much in this matchup, though. As we already noted, it's basically just Fairy.
Yeah.
That being said, the thing is that Brazen Borrower doesn't really. I mean, I guess it can stop the combo, so it has a way to break up the combo. Also, I think that the Sultai deck is probably just favored. It looks like Jonathan does mulligan though, going down to 6.
But he's usually probably okay with it. His deck has lots of ways of coming back and lots of options. The Fires deck definitely is going to be an unfavored matchup when it mulligans, because each card is going to be very important. Since any card countered, when you have Fires out, equals 1 card that you weren't able to play this turn.
Absolutely. I do believe that, if I'm not mistaken, that Jonathan does have... he has 2 Adrenaline Lock mains, so he actually has even more counter spells. How is he fitting all this? Oh, he's not playing Once Upon a Time. That's how he fits all this in.
Which is interesting. We've seen the power Once Upon a Time in so many of these matchups, where it gave them the land they needed or the right draw. It gives so much advantage in this game. But maybe just for the Sultai Flash being Sultai Flash doesn't feel like it wants the option of drawing. It just needs to constantly have the threats.
Interesting. You would think that one of the ways that this deck would lose would be not drawing its threats or not drawing its 4 mana spells, not drawing its lands or not drawing its 4 mana spells. So you'd think Once Upon a Time would fit this deck really well, as you don't really care about the 2 mana part either.
Exactly.
But he does elect to go with 0 of them. It does look like hands are being drawn. It does. I think that we even have a scry to start the game here on this side of our friend Chris.
We saw that Sphinx of Foresight has really, really given him so many options in the Fires deck. It has helped him so much in getting those draws, and when you play it out, it's just constantly doing what he wants him to do, which is get my draws to be where they need to be.
All right, we have tap land and a tap land. And here we go. Mana unlocked. Teferi, if they don't have a Quelch here, that could be big trouble. It does look like that card gets Quelched, though.
Yeah, of course it does. It was... That could have been the determining factor. If they can't deal with Teferi, the game is kind of done.
But that's the thing. The 4 Noxious Grasp may only deal with Teferi. Teferi might be the only card that matters in the matchup.
Exactly. It could even be that it's such a problem, he doesn't actually take it off the main board. He needs to deal with Teferi. It shuts down his deck so hard.
All right, so we have 4 mana here, so this Fires deck is unlocked here. I am trying to see. We have Brazen Borrower. We don't have Adrenaline Lock mana. Not that would matter. I think that there's only... Ooh, here we go.
The Sphinx is coming down right away to help out.
Primordial Cutthroat comes down.
And now we see the Sultai deck just wait.
You notice Chris put a land on top of his deck there to remind him for that scry. I really like the dedication. Just make sure that you don't make a silly mistake here in this top 8.
Yeah. A mistake could mean a game loss, and game loss in the top 8 is just not what you want to have, especially when it's something as small as missing a scry.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and take 4 here, going down to 16. 5 lands now for Chris.
Getting that Fabled Passage cracked right away.
Which probably means a Gale, Cavalier of Gales is coming down.
Definitely possible. Cavalier Gales is actually may even lock the game up for him. Getting that Brainstorm 3-draw on will probably give him so much forward momentum and so much options that it may be hard for the Sultai to kind of counter it.
The thing is that the Sultai missed its 4th land drop, so part of its counter spell suite is completely off the table in the form of Frilled Mystic.
Exactly, which is really what you want to see when you're playing the Sultai Flash deck. Losing that creature counterspell, that's a real tough time to be in.
Brazen Borrower coming down here. It looks like it's coming in as a creature, trying to get those beats on if you are Jonathan.
Yeah, it seems like it. He knows that he is not going to win this game long.
Shocking himself here. We have Frilled Mystic mana now.
We do, which is not good for the Fires deck.
And we have Frilled Mystic and Nightpack Ambusher in hand.
It's a deadly time because he'll probably let Fires resolve and then just counter the other spell, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah. It does look like we have 3 lands and something else in hand here for Chris. Chris did not adjust life totals, though, from that attack. We'll need to make sure that happens.
And that's 6 damage coming in. That's real deadly, brings them down to 14 as well.
There we go. All the way down to 12 here.
Getting himself ready to go.
Fairy, that one will probably get the
Frilled
Mystic response. Deafening Clarion.
And that sweeps the board. Wow, that probably gave him very close to the game.
Huge swing there. It looked like Jonathan might have almost locked up the game, but that Clarion, being able to double spell that turn was just so powerful. I do see looks like a Cavalier in hand, so we're gonna probably
Cavalier discard all the lands and start beating his
start
face.
start fresh. You might keep one of the lands to give your Cavalier haste though.
Yeah.
Oh no, that does not look like the option being taken here. So we're gonna attack for 4, putting Jonathan down to 6. That Cavalier will come down now. I don't think that there is another Frilled Mystic in hand for Jonathan.
But yeah, he really didn't care about giving it haste. He wants to draw cards.
All right, we have Nightpeck Ambusher coming down. That'll create a sizable board, but there was not really a way for Jonathan to get this 4/4 off the battlefield outside of another. I guess he could Oko it.
Well, either Oko or Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
We're about to find out if he gets
I guess
that.
he could drown and lock it eventually, depending on how many cards are discarded.
Oh, he has the Bone Crusher Giant in hand too. He's trying to carefully think.
He's gonna go
To the face.
just to the face. Well, we'll see an attack here from the flyer at least. That could spell the end of the game here for Jonathan, as that flyer can have 6 power.
It can. But it's already there because it's at 4.
Yeah.
Brazen Borrower. Looks like he's going to petty theft it away. Nope. Right. Brian McCarver into
Wildbone Preserver, not going to be even close to enough. That's just a lethal. Oh no, that creature has reach.
Wait, what? That creature has reach?
That's right.
That's that's something. Oh, I was not expecting the reach play. Yeah, that helps him out a lot. Cavalier is dead. He does get to deal a couple of damage. 3, in fact, with the Cavalier.
Okay. So 3 damage coming to Jonathan's face, putting him to 1, I would assume. We're going to play a second lethal threat. But it's on the ground, so it probably doesn't matter much.
True.
This is just packing it up for Jonathan. No way to deal with this flyer.
Yeah, the Sultai Flash deck seems really, really favorable. But when you have that Fires deck that has so much removal, so much ways of making over-the-head flyers, it's real hard for them to deal with it.
Yeah, this is one matchup where we might actually see the Mystical Disputes come in for Chris here.
Exactly. The Mystical Dispute is definitely going to be a game-changing card. Being able to counter that Frilled Mystic for 1 mana, or the Brineborn Cutthroat, or Oko, or Brazen Borrower is just going to give a lot of leeway for him.
Yep. On Jonathan's side, it looks like we have 1 Drown on the Lock, 2 Shifting Ceratops, 2 Negate, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 4 Mystical Dispute, 2 Assassin's Trophy, 2 Return to Nature. Literally every single one of these cards could come in this matchup.
Exactly. The biggest one, I think, being the Ceratops. He saw that the flyer is literally the only reason he lost. It came in the air, and he had no way of stopping it. So getting that Ceratops out that can block the flyer without fear could spell the game for Sultai.
I don't know if I would board in Shifting Ceratops. I might be more on the trophy plan. I mean, maybe both. I'm not sure. The thing is like, you don't really have bad cards in this matchup outside of Noxious Grasp. So for that reason, you need to probably board those out. If I'm doing that, I'm keeping in Trophy just to make sure that I have answers to Jace, or not Jace. I called Teferi Jace 3 times today. Negate is one that is interesting, but the Disdainful Stroke is definitely coming in.
Yeah, he saw a bunch of 4 mana or higher cards. He knows that Disdainful Stroke will hit almost every single card in his deck.
Yep. Well, our opponents are restarting this game here on their side. Are you surprised? I mean, that Deafening Clarion was...
I mean, yeah. Without that card, this matchup would have been completely different. It was... He
had to counter the Teferi. He didn't even have a choice.
Yeah, and he played it all correctly, though. He's like, I'm going to play this Teferi out. If it resolves, I'm kind of winning. If it doesn't resolve because he's countering it, I'm going to Deafening Clarion.
Right.
And it just means no matter what, he's getting a huge advantage. He basically was... Whatever he cast wasn't the problem. He knew he was controlling that stack. He was controlling what his opponent was doing. He knew that no matter what I play, my opponent has to respond to it this exact way.
Yeah, Teferi kind of showing its ability to warp a game even when it doesn't resolve.
Exactly.
Well, we are shuffled up here. Let's go back to the table and see if our opponents. We've done that a lot today too.
We're so used to playing Magic.
We're not used to
commentating is a
commentating.
very different beast.
Let's see if our players can keep some 7s this time.
Yep. And in the sideboard matchup, I do like the Sultai a lot more than the Fires. Sultai, well, we just looked at it. It has so many options against this deck. It can really turn the entire tide. Like I said, the Assassin's Trophies, we have the Disdainful Strokes. It has so much pressure now in controlling his opponent.
Absolutely. Let's see where we go from here. It looks like our opponents are still players are still shuffling up, and looks like we're going back to the sideboard here for Jonathan.
Yep, he is. Nope, he was just making sure the cards were put to the side. Looks like.
All right.
I mean, they do have many options. He's probably thinking very carefully, what's the best choice? What do I need to do to stop this deck?
Yeah. I said this in the first match that we saw Chris in. I just really, really love Chris's main deck.
It has so much fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I wish it had is maybe a Brazen Borrower or something, but other than that, I think this is just the hotness.
Yeah. With Fires of Invention, a lot of those really strong instant speed removal cards or any kind of thing that has instant speed goodness really loses its luster.
Sure. Yep. I think that there's probably not a huge reason to be boarding in any of your targets. You might consider something along the lines of like boarding in Chandra's Awakened Inferno since it can't be countered, but
yeah, if that comes on the board, that kind of also helps you out a lot.
Yeah. It also stops you from getting your Fae countered. So, if you had to go Fae for it, you can just draw it instead.
Yeah. Starting off the game with a Temple for a simple Scry.
Well, we're going to also Scry here on Chris's side.
Yeah.
Chris has what looks like a Cavalier Flames in the top right.
Yep. Oh, no, I think that actually may be Chandra Awakened Inferno.
Oh, is it?
It may be. It looks very much fiery.
All right, well, we're going to see a Shockland in a battlefield tapped, I believe, here. Nope, I missed the Scryland in the hand.
Scrying is very useful right now. He knows he's playing a much slower matchup. If he can just control his draws like he's been doing, he will be able to get it. And that was 2 bottoms. So both times he didn't need the cards.
All right, so we're shocking ourselves here, leaving up at least a counterspell.
Yeah. He is ready to stop whatever the opponent does.
All right, we're going to flash in Brazen Bar. It's going to get met with a Stomp, I believe, from Bone Crusher Giant. All right, now we have 4 mana up. This is kind of close to the game that I think Jonathan wants to play for the most part.
Yeah, he has kind of everything under his belt right now. While he did just lose one card, he's definitely winning a lot in having Castle Ventress ready to go soon. He has, of course, 4 mana up, which means he's ready to field Mystic.
And he's got 2 Frilled Mystics in hand, too. This Fires is probably not long for this world.
Yep, there it is. And that's really going to slow down Chris.
And by not long for the world, it didn't even make it to the world. It got stopped on the stack.
Exactly.
All right, taking 3 here, going down to 15. We can go untap. We have a bunch of lands in hand.
Mystical Dispute just a little bit too late.
Yeah, that's a tough top deck. But, you know, something that he could consider leaving up instead of jamming that.
Hard casting.
Doesn't he just pay 2?
It's actually he had to pay 3.
Oh, but the Mystical Dispute returns.
Mystical Dispute.
I didn't realize it was Mana Leak. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Not Spell Pierce at all.
It's a bit stronger Spell Pierce.
There you go. All right, we get an attack here for 5. Hopefully life totals will change here in just a second.
Well, there's just so much damage going in right now. 18 and 10. What can Chris play to get him out? I mean, he could do that sweet
The double spell turn.
yeah.
One problem with is that on this specific turn, right? Let's say that he does play Teferi. You know, I mean that is a play that could get him out of this. I'm trying to see if Jonathan. I know he has another Frilled Mystic in hand.
Your only real saver right here is resolving a Deafening Clarion to slow down this board.
Yeah. Or a Chandra Awakened Inferno.
So that was in his hand. I saw that correctly. So an also good option. Nuke the board. Deal 3 to all non-elementals.
Yep. He can make the 4/4 a 4/4 instead, though. If he plays the Ryborn Cutthroat in response to the minus, he can, instead of losing the Wildborn Preserver, he can instead lose the Cutthroat.
Which he is going to do because it's honestly the card that's going to help him win the game more than anything else.
Absolutely. I mean, and once it gets big enough, it's going to be really hard to kill with this Chandra, especially since the Chandra's about to meet its end.
Dead Chandra means it's not doing anything for him anymore, but it did help him out a bit. Got a card out of his opponent's hand, but the biggest thing is that 4/4 Wildlife Preserver is just going to be real hard for him to deal with.
All right, so we do have Cavalier Flames coming down here with 2 open mana. I fully expect this not to resolve. It looks like we're going to get a Disdainful Stroke.
And no Mystical Speed in hand for Chris.
Nope.
He probably really needed that drawing.
All right, we're attacking here for 4, going down to 6.
Chris is in some real rough waters.
Scry here.
Puts on the bottom immediately.
We still have that that 6 life. You know what can? Yeah, we're gonna Mystic that.
Yep, and that's gonna probably be game.
Yeah, Frilled Mystic. We do have a lethal attack here. Just untap, attack in, going to game 3.
Shakes a quick fish saying, I had fires, I was ready to go. But sadly, Sultai just went too fast. Well, we did see that going first for both players really helped them out. So maybe with this going back to Chris being the first player once more, will give him what he needs to be able to outpace the Sultai Food, Sultai Flash deck.
It looks like we did kind of guess a couple of things correctly about the sideboarding. Chandra was boarded in rather than being left and relegated to the board for Fave Wishes. Mystical Dispute came in, and then obviously we saw both Mystical Dispute and
Disdainful
Stroke. I also expect the Assassin's Trophy is in there somewhere, so we'll kind of see how this plays out from here. But it should be a pretty good game 3. I still think the Flash deck is a slight favorite.
Definitely is. It gives so much more pressure. Having a Fires deck not be able to respond to what you're doing with your Flash deck means the Flash deck just can go off whenever it really wants to.
Yeah. The Teferis are going to be really important here. That is one of the benefits of being on the play now, is that, the only thing you really have to worry about is Quench or things like that with that Teferi. You can just jam that Teferi on the play, not have to worry about the 3 or 4 mana counter spells trying to get it.
Exactly, which is a huge advantage for that Fires deck. That Fires deck getting Teferi down could spell almost instant victory for him.
Yeah, if I get to start double spelling with for free mana, that certainly is one way to beat up on this deck that can only play during my turn.
Exactly. And now, since you're basically both playing Fires Invention, because neither of you can cast on the other person's turn, but you have the advantage of no mana needed.
Exactly. All right, it looks like we have our first deck being presented. Chris has put his over there. Jonathan about to join him.
Both these players ready to go. This is the semifinals, which means this is a very heated match for all players that are playing right now.
Yep. All right. Jonathan presents. Let's get these cuts and see these opening hands for the pivotal Game 3 in the semifinals of the Oasis Games WPNQ. Can we just call it PTQs? They're just player tour qualifiers.
That's what they're calling it. Like, actually, they're saying this is qualifying you for the player tour for 2020.
But I know, but it's called a WPNQ. Wizards Play Network Qualifier, WPNQ.
Yeah.
But it's a PTQ.
It is a PTQ. We're just not calling it a PTQ.
All right, we do have a Scryland turn 1 here. It looks like no mulligans. Both players have kept.
Yeah. It looks like
It looks like a bottom.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to find the right cards. Probably the right cards being, of course, his early game clears with Fire's Invention, as well as any of the Cavaliers to help back him up.
I think I saw Deafening Clarion in hand for Chris. Taking 2 here. Jonathan leaving up 2 mana. You got Brazen Borrower at least in hand for Chris.
If not, also Brineborn Cutthroat.
And a Shock, I believe, of... Yep, that is going down. It's Yelling Timber. All right, let's see what we got here. We got a tap land, though. But we do have Mystical Dispute. This is something that will be able to counter Teferi for 1 mana if Teferi is something that happens this turn. We do have the 4th land as well. It's coming into play tap this time.
You definitely want to slam down Teferi if you can. There's just... Oh, he's not playing anything. He is holding up his mana, waiting for his opponent. It's going to be a very close game for both sides.
All right, Scryland. So another tap land coming into play for Jonathan here. Not able to leave up that pivotal 4 mana on one of those key turns.
But he does have the Mystical Dispute ready to go.
That's true. And the mana to cast it no matter what color of spell Chris plays this turn.
Putting things on the bottom, trying to find the right answer. And Bone Crusher will make an appearance again. He's done with his adventure.
Looks like a counter to that card. Not letting that 4-power creature get onto the battlefield to start attacking.
Yeah, even though it's not the most powerful creature in his deck, he knows if he just keeps countering and destroying his Chris's creatures, he's going to win.
Teferi does come down now. Will we get punished? Oh, nope. There we go. There's a negate. Mystical Dispute.
Is there another counter?
Well, he does have the Assassin Trophy. He could still negate this if he wanted to. It looks like he's going to choose to Mystical Dispute instead, targeting the Teferi. I like saving the negate, so I really like this play.
Yep, and he has it. Lots of back and forth. Chris's turn once more. Jonathan just immediately hard passing.
All right, it looks like the life totals were fixed from that first shock as well.
Cavalier trying to come down.
Yeah, Cavalier is probably not going to resolve. Sinister Sabotage will stop that one in its tracks. Also leaving up Negate still in case something crazy were to happen, like a land to fairy. It looks like the hand is Clarion something else for Chris, though. Now we have Clarion, Sphinx. Another Sinister Sabotage.
The more counters that come out, the higher chance he has of playing, hopefully, a Fugitive Fairy. Also, remember, we did see that he put Awakened Inferno into his deck. If he finds that anytime soon with this kind of board state, he could just win just by Chandra constantly ulting. Well, not ulting, but getting the
plussing, yeah. Yeah, Chandra Emblems could certainly be good here. It looks like a hard cast on a Bone Crusher Giant, trying to just get something into play to start attacking his opponent. Wildwyrm Preserver will come to the party.
And he's coming to the party fairly safe.
Yeah, it doesn't look like... I mean, the one thing to think about, though, is we do know what Deafening Clarion is in hand for... And I don't know that I want to trade my Brazen Borrower for a Deafening Clarion. I mean, I guess you... oh, no, it's only your stuff, or your opponent's stuff. You can't bounce your own stuff. That'd be sweet.
It would be insane, but that card would go absolutely bonkers nuts off if it could hit your own stuff.
Well, that's one of the things that you would do with Unsummon pretty often in this deck before it got Brazen Borrower, was you would unsummon your own things, and it would give you extra Frilled Mystics, because you could just unsummon your Frilled Mystic, their thing. Obviously, that would be too powerful with Brazen Borrower.
Exactly, and they've really been liking the creature. Having a 3/1 flyer has really helped them sweep some games.
All right, Negate coming down for that Teferi. Is that the third Teferi he's countered?
That was the second Teferi. Oh, is it the third Teferi?
I'm not. I seem to remember 3, but I'm not sure.
There's way too many Teferis being countered in this game. If any Teferi got down, this would be a very different game.
All right, we're gonna attack for 4 here. We still have that Deafening Clarion. It's gonna be a big swing once it comes down. But we got. Let's see here.
We have 7 mana.
We're gonna Brazen Borrower, cast it. Trigger that, make that 6 power. So now the Clarion doesn't actually kill that, but we still have that life total swing that it could create. But we're going to attack for 9 this turn, going all the way down to 5 if it happens.
Which will spell a lot of problems for Chris.
We have Assassin's Trophy Unknown in hand for Jonathan. Let's see. It's probably just attack first, right? Nope, no attack first. We're just going to Clarion right away. Oh, wait. Are we just giving lifelink?
That is a very strong play to do.
Okay. Well, it looks like that's not going to work, though, because this Assassin's Trophy is going to make this the game.
Yeah. Chris can't do much. Jonathan's just going to sweep in. I feel like that was a really risky play to only keep the Clarion alive. It's strange that he didn't do it earlier still. He had a chance to be able to clear this board out for him. There would be no creatures on his side either, but...
Yeah, it was an interesting decision. I would think that you would attack first, just deal the damage, and then attempt a Clarion. Why do we go to 8? Why do we gain 2 life? Oh, no. He took 1 damage. Maybe I'm confused. Maybe I missed something.
Because he has lifelink, and when he's targeted, he deals 2 damage.
Oh.
The fun little interactions you forget about sometimes.
All right. And that bouncing that to his hand should call the game, as we have 6, 7, 8, 9 damage coming through.
Yep. And there is no way for him to recover.
Well, Jonathan is moving on to the finals.
That was...
it looks like he's not conceding it, though. He is looking at his top 3 cards, drawing them.
I mean, you only have 1 mana and lethal is on the board. I don't know what you're going to find. The only thing you could find is Mystic Dispute and hope he doesn't attack you for some reason.
All right, we put that creature into play. Gonna go ahead and give those attacks. And Scoopsy, Poopsy comes up, and Chris has been eliminated, and Jonathan will move on to the finals of the PTQ. And we will be back with Jonathan. All right, Jonathan. I thought you were favored going in. You lose the game one kind of in a weird way. And then you just had every counterspell for every Teferi in history.
Yep. Can't let it resolve, or otherwise you die pretty much.
Yeah, you also, I thought you did a really good thing. There was a point where you were deciding between casting your second negate or a mystical dispute, and you went with a mystical dispute. I thought that was really heads-up play, keeping your negate for maybe a more potent threat.
Yeah, I figured I just needed the hard counter, and he was getting up there in mana, so might as well take care or use the mystical dispute when you can.
Absolutely, that makes a ton of sense. Do you know what you're playing against the finals?
It is Black-Red Aggro, I believe.
Black-Red Aggro. How do you feel going into this matchup?
It's not the easiest matchup, but it's definitely not horrendous.
Okay. Would this be your first Players Tour PTQ Pro Tour qualification?
It would.
All right. Are you hopeful?
Yes.
You nervous?
A little bit. Not quite as nervous. I've been in this spot a couple more times and failed.
Well, hopefully, man, you can be on the other side of that this time. I think that, there are people, your city friends will be cheering for you. Make sure to let them know that they can watch you maybe take this down. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, and we'll be right back with the finals. All right, we're back.
Woo.
We have the finals.
Yeah!
The finals, we have Rakdos Knights versus Sultai Flash.
It's going to be a game to see what happens. They're both insanely fast, insanely rushy down decks. One being more control, one being more aggro. We're going to really see some intense playing from this game.
One of the really nice things about the Rakdos deck in this matchup is Gutterbones, Knight of the Ebon Legion, Fervent Champion, and really even the 2-drops in Rinrock Knight, Blacklands Paragon. They all kind of come down before counterspells come into play.
They really do. They're so fast and low, and the Sultai deck, losing those counterspells could spell the end for them.
Yep.
Because having dead cards, and especially this aggressive matchup, really, really will create a hindrance for you.
Yep. Well, let's see here. I'm having a little trouble seeing the opening hand. It does look like there's lands and spells for Jonathan. I wasn't able to see Bruce's hand. Looks like Bruce has at least 2 lands? 3 lands, possibly.
One of them being Turner Ground, so lots of color fixing for him.
All right, we have turn 1 Knight. This is kind of the start you need in this matchup. We do shock ourselves, though, meaning that there could be a Quench in hand. It looks like there is.
He also has Mystic, Frail Mystic for a little bit later.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and get an attack for 1. Wildborn Preserver coming down.
Immediately.
Block. Ooh, with the Death Touch.
That was a real upset play. 3-1 on the field now against the Sultai.
All right, attacking for 3. Going down to 17, I would assume. I don't think that we'll see a similar play here.
He's actually down to 15 because of the shocking from the
Oh, that's true.
the land. And now he gets to drill bit. He gets to take away one of his toys. Wow, 2 quenches and a frilled mystic. That's not what you want to see. You remember that frilled mystic? Really, the only actual threat is that creature.
What did we take? Do we know what we took with the drill bit?
We took frilled mystic.
Oh, Frilled Mystic, got it.
Yeah, taking that frilled mystic means he has 2 quenches in hand still. Plenty of options, but losing that frilled mystic means I don't care if you counter me, as long as you don't get a creature out of this.
Okay, well, let's go down to 12 here. Quite a low life total considering there's still 3 power in play. And we have ourselves, is this Stormfist Crusader?
Yes, it is. Lets you draw. So what happens is it has Menace, real powerful in this matchup, but also at the upkeep of the controllers,
They both get to lose 1 life and draw a card.
Exactly. And drawing a card is definitely very useful. But the biggest thing is that losing 1 life is really going to put that Sultai deck on the clock.
Yeah, they're 11 life now with 5 power in play. Just 1 more creature puts you on a 2-turn clock here.
Yeah, you know he has a
Quite a few lands for Bruce though. Now he has 5 lands in play. Wildburn Preserver comes down.
Flashing in, probably gonna block. It can only block the 3/1.
Yep. Going down to 9.
9 this early. Regisaur comes out. That's just deadly is what that is. 7/6. Yeah, you draw a card, discard a card on your upkeep, but man, that's
You're also
a lot
drawing
of
a card every turn on your upkeep. In addition, though, with the Stormfist.
So you're really not losing a card at all.
No, you're really not. It's a nice synergy there.
And this game could be won just by him waiting. That Stormfist Crusader is just gonna eventually kill him.
And we have Direwire in the chat asking, what happened to MT Jesus? Well, MT Jesus decided to play instead of commentate, and immediately 1-2 dropped.
Yeah, so I'm here instead. Guy who loves games and commentating.
Well, we're happy to have you here, and it looks like that was just a quick concession here. Going to game 2, Bruce wins the game on the draw.
It was real powerful. The biggest thing is when you have this incredibly aggressive deck, you immediately start putting on pressure. The biggest thing was that drill bit taking away Frilled Mystic really did also help. No creature plus no counter. Hey, thank you, bud. That's really awesome to hear.
CJ, you're great on the mic, my friend. We have some sideboard options here for Bruce. He's got 2 Noxious Refs. He's got another drill bit. He's got Murderous Rider. Probably not bringing in Leyline of the Void or things like that. Cavalier of Night and Massacre Girl. I expect probably to see the Noxious Grasps and maybe the drill bit. I don't think you want Murderous Rider.
That's the thing is, I actually don't think I expect the drill bit. The biggest thing is, what are you really taking from the Sultai's hand? If anything, you're taking a counter, but really, what's that doing?
Well, the thing is if they have to counter the drill bit to not have them take the counter, then it lets you resolve your other spells, and your deck's pretty cheap.
It is, and especially at 1 mana, maybe it is the best. But I feel like you don't want that to happen. Grabbing a counter to get rid of the counter means I'd rather just be a playable card more than anything else. Yeah, I'm getting the counter out of the hand, but then maybe if I don't, what if they don't counter it? I just get a playable card instead.
Well, that's true, but I'd rather just resolve my high-impact cards. Like, if I can make sure that I resolve my Ember Cleave or my Rotting Regisaur, that's way more important than resolving just another Gutter Bones.
That is very true. So we're going to see some interesting plays. We have the Sultai versus the Knights. The Sultai being currently down on the play, but they could come back. They have many tools, many options to combat the Knights, and being on the play will definitely help them out.
Well, our players are shoveling up. Looks like they are done sideboarding.
They're raring to go. Coming back from the sideboard, what do you think about the Sultai's plan to sideboard in? What do you think they're going to most likely need in order to come back from this?
You know, it's a little bit harder for them. They don't have really ways to deal with 1-mana creatures. They're going to lose out on tempo every time one comes down. But you have a lot of bad cards in the matchup, right? If you think about like Sinister Sabotage isn't that great, so you're gonna want those out of your deck. Noxious Grasp doesn't have targets, so you're gonna want those out of your deck. So you've got 8 cards that you're pretty unhappy playing. So between Assassin's Trophy, Assassin's Trophy, and Adrenaline, you might not even have enough cards for the matchup. I'm not quite sure what to do here. You could think about boarding in something like Return with Nature, just to make sure that you have an answer to an Embercleave, though.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is that this sideboard that Sultai has just can't deal with this. It has ways of helping, but like no card immediately says, you know what? This stops the aggro 1-drops. It's like, nope, I can slow it down with Drown in the Locks, but I really don't have an answer to a board state.
Sure. Well, it looks like we are getting decks presented here. We'll kind of see what Jonathan can cobble together. He needs to get this game to force a game 3.
And he has to play very carefully. We saw that Knight deck with its own little flashers, the little Death Touch guy, really turned the tide right away.
That was a fast play. That was one of the ways that you can deal with that Knight of the Ebon Legion is just by flashing in something to block it. But giving it Death Touch was big game.
Was big game, yeah. That would have run away with the game if he was able to constantly have a 2/2.
But bigger eventually, right? It was
yeah,
a Wildborn Preserver. Ooh, do we not have a 1-drop here from Bruce?
That's not good for him at all. He needs to have those aggressive plays.
Now Quench is turned on pretty happily in this matchup.
Yeah, if the Sultai deck just grabs every counter possible now, they don't need to play a single card. If all they do is counter the rest of this game, they're just going to take it.
Yeah, I think we see Wildborn Preserver as well. So we'll see. All right, we have that.
Yeah. Oh, Brineborn Cutthroat's coming down instead. Okay, we got the Menace versus the one that can grow in size.
He's
and
choosing to block.
You got to get rid of it. Anything that can get bigger, the Knights can't deal with anything that's too large.
We have a Scry to the top here. Pretty happy for Jonathan if he's putting something on top in this matchup, I think.
Jonathan does have 2 mana open, which lets him looks to cast. I can't really see what he's playing right now.
Looks like Knight of the Ebon Legion is coming down rather.
Oh, and then here comes Wildborn Preserver.
Gonna attack with that Preserver, putting Bruce down to 18. First damage dealt of the game. Oko comes out.
This will probably just call it here. This Oko is gonna give him
Run
way
away?
too much. Yeah, the Knights deck can't deal with Oko. If they had a board state, it would be a completely different story. But there is nothing in this Knights deck that can just outright kill Oko, is there?
Probably not. I mean, they definitely boarded in Noxious Grasp.
And that's all you got, though. If you don't draw that Noxious Grasp, you can't deal with this.
Yeah, one thing to note, though, is that Jonathan did miss his 4th land drop, so that Frilled Mystic is stranded in his hand. He also doesn't have a black mana for the Assassin's Trophy in his hand, so he's both color screwed and mana screwed here.
This could actually hurt him a lot, then.
Yeah. And we're going to see an attack here straight to Jonathan's face. I'm surprised we're not seeing a pump, though.
Nope, there's the pump.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like
we're
actually seeing...
We're seeing the Black Knight, who...
Is it Rimroad Knight?
No, his name is actually Oathsworn Knight.
Oathsworn Knight.
Yeah, he is a 3-mana 4/4, must always attack, but any damage dealt to him is actually ignored.
And you remove the counter?
Yep, just 1 counter.
All right.
So he'll keep going in for 4 damage every single turn unless his opponent deals with it.
If he turns that into an elk, it's a 7/7.
That's what the deadly thing is. That's not what you want to have to deal with, is a 7/7.
All right, so we now have 3 food in play. We did get the
No,
black
it's
land.
an elk food.
Oh, it's an elk food. That makes way more sense. It looks like we do have 4 mana now, so...
And it's the correct color, so he does have all of his cards turned on.
Yep. All right, we're going to attack here for 4.
And he's got to deal with it some way.
You can just take the 4.
I mean, you do, but the Knight of the Ebon Legion does get bigger.
That's true. That's a good point. It's something that you could consider. Yeah, it looks like he is going to take it.
That Knight could get him enough damage in order to keep going. And with Knight of the Ebon Legion now growing, if he ever tries to future Elk the Knight of the Evolution. It just got a little bit stronger.
Yeah. So we're going to choose to actually Assassin's Trophy the Knight.
Let's see how he responds. He doesn't have any way of doing this with does he? He doesn't have any. I mean, there's no counters in blue, black, and red.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and go get probably another mountain.
Get your colors all nicely there. Look at those. 3 beautiful reds, 3 beautiful blacks.
I actually really like Bruce's land choice. We should give him... I like John's too. These are just great lands. Great finals land choices.
It shows that they really care about their decks and just really want to spice them all up. So now we're getting to a bit closer of a game.
So did I miss? Where did the Oko go?
Oh, the Oko's dead now. He just murders righted it.
Oh, that's what that 3-mana was for. Okay.
I looked away for 1 second and there's Oko's gone.
Oko is the deadest.
And that gives so much advantage to this Knight deck. This Knight deck could run away with it. But remember, we do know that Jonathan does have a Frilled Mystic in his hand.
Yes, absolutely. Once again, just so many lands for Bruce that it doesn't seem to matter.
He's doing 4 every single turn. He's keeping up with this clock. But the biggest problem is that once that Frilled Mystic comes down, it's probably going to spell doom for Bruce.
Yeah, so we're going to go to 9 here. If we have... Oh, we're going to play... Yeah, I think this Frilled Mystic just has to come down and make this Wildborn Preserver a little bit bigger.
Rotting Regisaur. Now that's a card that can end this game.
I'm surprised that Jonathan didn't elect to put a 1/1 counter on his creep. Oh, the Assassin's Trophy off the top!
That's a draw that will save him. But you save it here. You of course don't. You wait until your opponent make him discard a card real quick.
Well, the thing is that you're kind of in a racing situation. It's possible that you would rather...
True, you're right. Just get it out of the way and attack him.
Yeah.
For 8 damage.
Just to kind of rewind for a second, if you had the 1/1 counter here on the Wildborn Preserver, you could actually use the wild. You could in 2 turns have a big enough Wildborn Preserver to just eat the 4/4 every single turn for the rest of the game.
Yeah. So So you were right. He is going to Assassin's Trophy that Rotting Regisaur in order to quickly get it out of there.
Yep. I think we're going to see an attack for at least 5, if not more.
And my man, that black creature is called Oathsworn Knight. It is a 3-mana 0/0 that comes into play with 4 +1/+1 counters. If it would be dealt combat damage, instead it takes no damage and loses a counter. It's a card that hasn't seen much play, but in this kind of aggressive Knight deck, it just can always attack. Also, it must always attack, but it always gets its damage in.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and deal 6 here, putting the Knight's deck down to 6.
With 3 mana open, he definitely has a counterspell open in some way.
Well, we already know his hand is Frilled Mystic, Wildborn Preserver.
So yeah, so there actually then is none. If he gets... he's just drill betting him. He's trying to find what's going on, but he's going to flash in that Preserver. He's losing the other Frilled Mystic, and now we're going in for 4 damage.
Yep. Now the thing is we do have Embercleave mana here. So, and the Embercleave comes down!
Wow, and that is the game right there.
Oh my goodness. Heartbreaker for Jonathan, who really almost had it there.
He really... if that drill bit didn't come down, that was going to be his match, easily. Because...
Well, he could have just blocked.
Do you block in that situation, though,
I
without
don't
knowing
know.
Embercleave?
All right. Well, that is going to do it. Bruce has taken down the Oasis Games PTQ. Oh, maybe he did block. Did he block?
Nope. He elected not to block. He already scooped. The game is over.
All right. Well, I was wondering if what actually happened is that there was a block and then he scooped.
Oh my goodness, I think you're right. Wait. We'll know in about 2 seconds.
Yeah,
let's see it
we'll
like.
know shortly, I guess.
That's the
Because
only...
they're certainly continuing to shuffle here, which makes me think that there was a concession from Bruce there after a block as he was dead on board.
Yes, he was. Man, Ember Cleave was a big, strong play. I think he just wanted to showcase, like, if you didn't block, I would have had it.
Yep.
Yep, yeah, he's presenting deck. Okay, so it actually is. We're still going on. It is 1-2-1. That was very interesting to see.
I thought for sure that there was no block, and then I saw the life total, and I was like, oh no, is Jonathan dead? But it looks like we're going to game 3 here.
I mean, knowing your opponent's deck, knowing they have Amber Cleave means I don't care what's going to happen. I'm just going to block this just to make sure I survive, because I have lethal on the swing back.
Yep.
Just don't risk it.
These players both want to go to Phoenix. They both want to join the first Players Tour of 2020. Let's see if they can do it.
We're seeing Sultai Food versus Knights. Who is the stronger of the two? So far, they're very even. Very careful playing. And it looks like there was no sideboards, so their decks are basically what they're going to be. They know this matchup.
Oh, I think we're going to see a mulligan here from the Knights deck. I think it has 5 lands in hand.
I'm also looking at the Sultai deck, and I only see 2 with all these 4 drops. He knows he has to mulligan. There's no way you can keep this kind of slow hand, but it looks like he may? That's real risky.
We'll see what happens here. The Knights deck is definitely one that can afford to mulligan at least once in this matchup. Just getting a crucial number of spells, being able to pressure your opponent with when we talked about it before. Notice that the game where he played a 1-drop, Bruce won. The game where he didn't play a 1-drop on turn 1, he lost.
Exactly. Getting that early game pressure really shows how much of a difference is between the turn 1 and the turn 2 not having a creature in this deck.
You just really have to be able to pressure the Quelches and the spells that, Jonathan can fight you with.
Yeah.
I think that there might be 3 lands. I think there might be an island, a shock land, and something else.
Then yeah, he's much, much safer. But with Nightpack Ambusher, it looks like in his hand, that's a really, really powerful move.
All right, we shock ourselves, playing ourselves a 1-2. As Chet said, if that was a 2-lander, it's a bold move.
It really is. But 9 of Devil Legion, we saw this play. We're seeing the same plays over and over again. No, but having that Knight right away is really, really critical. Having a quick 1 damage, but also a pumper, is really needed when it comes to your spells don't resolve.
1-drop, 2-drop before a Quelch can even come down. There's not a lot that Jonathan can do from this kind of aggression. Jonathan's going to go down to 18. Bruce is going to go down to 17. They're both going to draw a card. But we'll see. It looks like a land for Jonathan. I think. It might have been a Frilled Mystic. But I definitely think I see an island there to the right of the Frilled Mystic.
Another 1-drop coming down. It is a drill bit. Because he took damage, he now gets to play that for 1 mana.
Yep. And we're going to see Drown in the Lock. 2 Ambushers. Oh.
I think
Bruce, you're hiding the hand from us, fam.
I think being Bruce, you want to take away the Drown Lock. It's the only card right now that deals with anything you're doing. And with him only being on 2 lands, having 2 turns in order to get Nightpack or Frilled Mystic, you just don't want anything ever dying.
Absolutely.
If you have every card resolve, you're good to go.
Yeah, it looks not great for Jonathan at this point in the game. You've got 3 power in play. Your opponent's gonna go up every turn, as this actually it adds up to 4 damage a turn right now. When you look at the Knight plus the Storm, the Fist, plus the trigger, that's 4 damage. That Knight of the Ebon Legion grows every single turn right now.
Yeah, this is a really, really fast clock.
No attack from the Knight though. Oh, he must have had a 2-drop in hand to block it.
Oh yeah, no, he definitely saw that he had the. Yeah, there it is. He's like, I cannot attack with this 1/2. It is going to be too crucial for my win.
And chat says they're happy that Drillbit is finally seeing play. Somebody likes 1-mana discard spells.
Welcome to Thoughtseize. But in standard.
That was better than a Thoughtseize.
Because he didn't have to pay life for it.
Exactly.
Well, he did. He paid 1 life for it.
Sure. Kind of. It's one way to describe what happened.
Okay, so now that you can pump up your Ebon Legion, you're just going in. There's a Rimrock Knight in the corners, rounding about. Doesn't really care too much.
We got one counter here. So what probably happens is a double block.
But he needs to be careful, because that Knight of the Ebon Legion getting pumped is a lot of damage coming in this turn. Also, from him losing Drown Lock, it's really showing how.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's
Embercleave just wipes the board out. Damage is dealt. Oh, it's just such a big chunk of life.
This game has to be over. There's not much you can do after this.
All right, looks like another 1-drop was played on the far side of the screen there. Not quite sure what it is. It might not even matter.
It really doesn't.
We do have an Assassin's Trophy for the Embercleave, so if life totals are correct, which I don't think they are.
No, because he's taking the damage right now. He's at 8.
So we have, yeah, and that'll
there we
do
go,
it.
and there we have it.
Bruce does end up winning that match with his Rakdos Knights deck. We'll see if Bruce wants to jump in the booth to talk about his win. If not, CJ and I will be back. Just congratulations to Bruce. Awesome to see Embercleave just putting in work in this tournament. It seemed like a lot of Embercleave decks did really well.
We saw actually a lot of interesting cards. We saw Embercleaves, we saw Drill Bits, we saw Quench making a comeback after not being played for a while.
Yeah. So we will be back shortly to talk about the end of this tournament. Congratulations!
Thank you.
Are you stoked going to Phoenix?
I'm so I don't even know how to feel right now, to be honest with you. It's just nice to break that streak finally.
Well, I'm really happy for you, man. I know that I've seen you at the local 1Ks. I've seen you playing in these local events. It's nice to see those players that put in the work. Finally make it. So congratulations. Tell me about your deck. Why'd you pick Rakdos Knights?
So initially I was going to play green-white, but after having wildly varying success on the ladder, because everybody has Noxious Grass in their main deck, so it's just terminate for everything in the deck. And like I wanted to be like Andrew Cuneo and be like, just get there regardless of what that happens, but I couldn't make it happen.
Absolutely.
Especially with the cat deck coming up and about after the PT.
So was Noxious Grasp like a real reason to kind of pick Black Red? Your finals opponent, they had Noxious Grasp in their main deck.
Oh, I know. I saw it. I saw it in his hand when I drill bit him game 1. It was actually a last minute decision around, I want to say 9 o'clock last night. I saw a tweet from Uli Edel, and he posted this list, posted the sideboard guide, and I said, that looks all right. Let's try it out.
Just
so I had like 2 cards off of it. I stayed up until like, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2, just trying it out on ladder, and basically just almost hit Mythic with it, just
awesome.
Right from the get-go.
Well, like I said, I'm really happy for you, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And we'll hopefully everybody at home will be rooting for you, in Phoenix in the first 2020 Players Tour.
I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thanks
sure.
a lot, man. Thank you everybody for watching, and we'll post deck lists over on ConstructorChrism.com where you can see, what Bruce took this down with, man. So, all right. Goodbye, everyone.